Welcome to Kim Talks All Things Real Estate. And you know what? Who doesn't want to learn a little bit more about this crazy world that we're living in of real estate? It's been mind-boggling as of late. And it's always you can always navigate real estate if you know the right people. And I've been very blessed because I always know the right people. So let's get them on the show here and see what they have to say in all the different areas of real estate. So this is where we're sharing the insight to help you be a winner when it comes to real estate. So before we get started, be sure to check out queenofresilient.shop. This is our online store and it's a lot of fun. There's some sassy things in there. So straighten your crown, shop around at queenofresilience.shop. So today's guest is a personal friend of mine. I have known her, oh gosh, for at least 10, 12 years now. It's been forever and a day. And Tanya Appel, she is a mortgage broker. I've known her like, I don't know if like I even knew her before mortgages. Like it's that crazy that long. She's with Axiom Mortgage Solutions as a licensed broker of over 10 plus years with an educational and experiential background in advertising, public relationships or relations, not relationships. Okay. It's 7 o'clock, folks. She's the VP of marketing and communications for her brokerage, a role that allowed her to marry her love of turning the dream of home ownership into a reality with the love of all things creative. Prior to brokering, Tanya worked alongside an incredible group of local international entrepreneurs. She credits her adaptability and flexibility to this environment early in her career, where she is often challenged to come out of her comfort zone. This broadened her experience to include business administration and operations, trademarking, international logistics, freight forwarding, graphic design, as well as pitching to national buying groups, corporate event management, and public relations support for a major Canadian railway. So Tanya is more than just the voice of how do you get a mortgage and where do you go, but really the overall arcing brand of why trust Tanya. So let's get Tanya in here and see what she has to say. Hello, Tanya.
Hello, Kim.
We have had some glitches, so we're a little late coming on tonight. We've had glitches, but like resourceful, resilient women, we totally crushed it.
We
We made
did.
it happen.
Yep.
So, like I mentioned, I've known Tanya before babies, even. Like I've known you
Yep.
forever.
Long time. We've been in the game a long time. But we
Absolutely.
haven't aged somehow.
No,
Somehow we
no.
look exactly the same. Yeah.
I take that one. I take that one. So I first want to start with who you are. Let's get a little pre-frame of where you come from and a little bit of kind of what has drawn you to this kind of being your own brand and building your own business.
So like everyone, it's really a zig and a zag as to how I got here. Some luck and some great people in my path have definitely gotten me to where I am today. I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I've always wanted to create, and I've wanted to feel that what I am doing, whatever capacity, that I'm bringing something to others. That is a huge motivator for me. And mortgages, I know they're not that sexy, and finance scares a lot of people. But for me, coming into it and looking at the industry, it wasn't about the dollars and cents. It was about what we are providing and the value that we bring. And it's about education and talking about what that is. This is a huge commitment you're making. I think I was more scared to have my first mortgage than I was to get married. I felt like that was a bigger commitment. So I wanted to help people through that. I wanted them to be comfortable. I wanted them to understand what it is that a mortgage is and how their mortgage was a fit for them and how it was going to work for them. And a mortgage brings you the best place on earth, in my opinion. It brings you your home. Your home is where you get to start your family, or watch your kids grow, watch them go off, be be who you are in your space and feel comfortable and happy or sad, or it's home, it's safety. And I think we learned that more than ever through this crazy pandemic. It's not just our
Absolutely.
walls. So I really feel that what we do is a privilege, and I feel that we all need to do it well, be accountable, and as licensed professionals, we are. So that is what has kept me in the industry, what drew me to the industry. Again, you read some of my background, having some of that, being able to work in all of those pieces and components and do something meaningful. So yeah, I love it.
Absolutely. So you mentioned in your bio that sometimes you get pulled out of your comfort zone. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I would have quickly said, again, the pandemic has taught me, oh, so many things. I would have said that I was definitely an extrovert before, but having more opportunity to stay in my own house has kind of made me realize, I'm a bit of an introvert as well. I like my little circle, I like my people, but I really love getting to know who people are. That curiosity has always been in me, and I love to hear a story and get to know people. So that compels me to reach out and learn more. I'm just curious. So
Oh, absolutely. And um, really leveraging the home, right? Really understanding the value of home. You yourself have how many children do you have?
I have two. My firstborn just turned 18 in December. She just graduated. And then our baby turned 16 last week. So it's been a real privilege to watch them come into their own as well, and see where they're going next. So definitely
So,
family is a touchstone for me.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you work with your partner, correct?
I do.
Okay.
And we get asked over and over, like, how does that work? How do you guys handle that? And honestly, I love it. We've worked together. Life has put us together on three separate occasions. This is our fourth venture together, and he is my best friend and understands me in ways nobody else could. He puts up with more than anybody else would, and challenges me in ways that I'm more open to, and in return, I can do the same for him. So I think it really works. It doesn't work for everybody, but yeah, it's wonderful being able to marry all aspects of your life, and he really gets when I can talk about what's going on in my day, and he really gets it. So
Oh, I'm there with you. Um, Real quickly, how do you turn that off though? How do you transition? Do you have key practices you have in place when work turns off and home starts?
yeah, and that took some practice for sure. I have worked for myself even pre mortgage days, so I've been at this entrepreneur thing and working from home for a really long time. I'm going to date myself. It's well over 20 years. So really making sure that I was taking the time and being really mindful of my space. And I had a great caregiver in my life who said to me, it's awesome that you want to be a super mom and a super woman and a super this and that. And he said, but where's your off button? So what are you doing? Where are you working from? And I'm like, well, my laptop. And he's like, and so your work can follow you all over your house. And I was like, yeah, actually, you bring up a good point. So it was just carving out a spot that was just mine, so that when it was, everybody knew if I'm in this spot and it started at my kitchen table, then that's a no-go zone, right? Wait till I'm done. Everybody learns their boundaries. And then as we evolved as a family, and I evolved as a business person, I made sure I had my own office space with doors that close and natural light and some distance from the partner I love so much, but like you get to have an office on another floor. And when work is done, those doors get closed. And if one of us, sometimes we talk work outside hours, but that helps too. We just turn it off. We'll go for a walk together. We'll talk about, what we want to do later, or our summer plans, or where the kids are at. So yeah, just reconnecting as people, not just, work people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So where we're going to take this is I want to ask a couple questions in regards to you as an entrepreneurial woman. And then I want to, and I'm going to give you kind of a heads up. Some with the way the mortgages are going, a little how crazy everything is. A lot of people are running scared. And what are some tangible tips we can give people to pull in that anxiety and to look at things a little bit different, and maybe some actions they can put in place to, if they're not approved today, that they could get approved. So before we go there, I do want to tackle the female founder, the female entrepreneur, the female leader. Um, we're seeing a huge the resignation generation, and this is women over 40, and we're seeing a huge number of women who are leaving the security of the corporate world that paid 9 to 5. Sorry, my dog is going crazy. There must be a squirrel on the back deck.
I got mine was probably going to go next. So yeah.
Awesome. And they're shifting, because you know what? You get to 40 years of age or 45 years of age, you get 20 years in a business, and guess what? You've got a zone of genius. You've got an expertise. You've got a marketable asset just within your knowledge. What are some of the ways that, as an entrepreneur, somebody who lives on commission without a steady paycheck, how do you navigate running a household? How do you navigate ensuring that everything moves so that even when times are tough, or back when you were building, that you knew what you were doing? You knew where the money was going to be and the groceries were coming in.
Well, there's that comfort zone I talked about again. Never in a million years would I think that I would have got myself into a commissioned role. And no, I didn't always know where the groceries were coming from. Looking back, of course, hindsight is a beautiful thing, but I was more resilient than I gave myself credit for. And you get that with the wisdom with some age, and just really knowing that no matter what came at us, and there were some hard years, it's hard to start up, that you're going to figure it out. And that when you have kids, no, you're gonna make sure you do what you have to do to take care of them, and you have to be willing to pivot. So maybe plan A didn't go exactly as you had hoped. They rarely do. So what are you going to do next? And it's taking a moment to go within, to breathe, to have confidence in yourself, and know that you will find the answers. Where there's a will, there's a way. And it's very, very true. So it was, how much do we need? We weren't just willy-nilly about it. Here's our budget. Here's what we need to do. We know what the end game was. And if that meant one or both of us had to get a second job, then so be it, because we're going to work for this. We're going to make it happen.
Absolutely. And you have made that happen with aligning with Axiom. So share with us how that works when you've got personal brand merged with a corporate brand, but you're still, because we see this in not just like mortgages, we see this in, real estate agents. You still have to have that brand, that brokerage brand on there. We'll see even like in psychologists that work within large firms, they have their brand, but then they have to comply to corporate brand. Tell me how you build your personal brand inside the layer of a corporate brand.
That's so timely, Kim, because this is a topic that we have very regularly with our team. And so now I am helping those brokers build their brand. And we always say that you are your brand. So it doesn't matter what company you are with, that can change. We love our people. We hope that doesn't change, but that can change. And so it is about building your brand. What is your style of communication? Who are you? What are your values? What is your value proposition? And being clear, setting your own boundaries, making sure your expectations are out there for the clients that you wish to draw your way, because you're not going to be for everyone. So find those people who are your people, and that includes clients too. And they're going to find you because you're going to resonate. Your voice will make a difference. The way you're doing your business will make a difference. And what we do is important. And so that is how I stress that they should build their personal brand, is to really take a look at what it is that they want to do and how they want to do their business, and make sure that they are doing it in an ethical and kind way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we've talked a lot up to this point from the professional woman's side. And the reality is that everything we've talked about can be applied to a any female entrepreneur, coach, speaker, author, small business owner, or broker, right? These are basic fundamental principles of knowing your brand. Now let's flip the dialogue in knowing what you do well. General public, how do they know that they're working with the right person?
I would say really start with your gut, interview that person, get on the phone. And technology now, I think most of us, fairly effectively, we know how to use Zoom or Google Meets. So have that, if you can't meet with that person, have that face-to-face interaction. You're gonna get a sense of who they are. Ask some questions. How long have you been licensed? What kind of mortgages do you specialize in, if any? Do you specialize in residential? Do you do any commercial? What is your approach to business? What can I expect working with you? These are my expectations. And having a good opening conversation is so important on both sides of that interaction, because as brokers, we also need to know who you are. We are your advocate. We are your representative. We need to have the full picture, a clear understanding of what it is that you're looking to do now, what your future goals are, so that we can make sure that we get the mortgage that fits for you. Because the beauty of a broker is that we do have access to a lot of different lenders, a lot of different lending types. So when we know the whole story, we're best able to position you and bring your story forward so that you come alive to the lender. You're not going to be a piece of paper that is now on their desk. We're gonna come alive, and we're gonna tell your story. We're gonna share your story, and position you in the best way.
Absolutely. So let's talk first time home buyers.
Mhm.
And this is scary right now. So in North America, they estimate like a 4.5 million shortage of single family homes. We knew this was coming down the pipe. We just didn't know when it was going to hit and stick.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I have no clue what a zombie apocalypse will be, what it will cause to the real estate world, because I mean, take a look what a pandemic did. With first time home buyers, let's talk about what's the number one common mistake they make before getting that mortgage lined up?
I would say getting excited about what's out there without really understanding the math. So we're constantly stressing the importance of a pre-approval, and I want to explain the difference about an approval and a pre-approval and what that looks like from our perspective. And this is not just for first home buyers. This is anyone looking to get into a new mortgage at renewal, refinancing, a second, third mortgage. Go in, speak to a licensed professional, have them do a full overview of your situation. And that should include gaining all of your documentation so that we can see exactly what it is that you're making and get the right numbers. Having a look at your credit, discussing that with you. It's a great opportunity to understand your own credit situation. And then really knowing what your affordability and your comfort with a mortgage is. So even just coming in and having that one-on-one and really understanding where you are really helps to alleviate that anxiety. And as soon as we have the knowledge, we have some power and we can determine next steps. So I always recommend that as any starting point. And then you can have a more in-depth conversation. And as the borrower and the client, you can be in the driver's seat. You can help make some of those decisions. And again, knowing that affordability piece is huge. Where not just what you can afford, but where are you comfortable? What does your lifestyle look like? Are you willing to make some sacrifices to pay a little bit more in a mortgage? What kind of community do you want? Can you only get into a condo right now? And I don't say just only, but hey, great starting point. But what does that look like for you? So I always used to tell my clients that even if this comes back where you need a little bit more time, it's not a no, it's a not right now. Let's make a plan for the future. Let's get you there. So I think a lot of people, especially in this environment, when headlines are coming at us and it looks so doom and gloomy, there's still lots of positivity out there. Yes, inventory is tight, absolutely. Yes, we need to get construction starts moving across the country. We are in a housing shortage for sure, make no mistake, but there are always options. There's always ways to go, and making a plan will help alleviate that stress.
Absolutely. Okay, so with inflation, so we're seeing record inflation. So it's estimated that if you had a personal income of $80,000 last year, you actually need to add on about around another $500 to $550 a month in order to have sustain the same living standards. How does inflation play in to qualification when housing prices are going up and we're looking at a interest climb? How are you helping people navigate that? Because that's a huge mind shift.
Absolutely. So, and it does, as those rates are climbing up, we have to be prepared as homeowners and would-be homeowners to adjust our expectations. And that's difficult because if you've been saving for years for this down payment and you can see the finish line is there, and all of a sudden there's these rate increase increments, it feels like it keeps moving away from you. Someone's moving the finish line on you. So it's about adjusting expectations and looking at, the house that you could maybe buy 2 months ago, not quite as much house potentially, or maybe you have to adjust the location. But again, I believe that there's something out there. It's about building the plan and be willing to pivot. And sometimes that means adjusting how much house you're looking at, type of property, location, or you have to wait a little bit longer, or maybe you get a little bit of help from an immediate family member. So there's gifted down payment options as well.
Well, and also look at the option of we've gotten into this whole reveal mindset. HGTV, 28 years, 29 years of HGTV has programmed people what a house should look like. Where the reality is a bucket of paint goes a long way. I know as a licensed real estate agent, I have actually gone in as a second listing agent, gotten people to repaint from the seafoam green,
Yeah,
and managed to literally get $10,000 more for the house for the price of paint.
absolutely.
So is there anything do you have any like checklist or suggestions or anything like that that you help or you can provide like through your website or anything for people that gets them to think creatively around their options?
I would say that is very much, I'm sure you can speak to this in real estate. It depends on who it is that you're working with as well, because sometimes that's a scary proposition too, even if it's just a bucket of paint. How much are you willing to take on? So again, setting those expectations, making sure that it is something you're willing to take on, but the opportunity, I agree with you, it's there.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't get your dream home the first time. Most of us don't. That's something that you get to work your way up to. It's a
Exactly.
privilege, right?
Aspire
So
to. Yeah.
absolutely. And getting into on the property ladder is the key. If you can get in, this is not going to, in most cases, be it as a first time home buyer. This is not your one and only home unless you decide it should be. So just because it's a different version of what you had hoped, or it's something, not your dream home, it can be. Get on the property ladder. And as far as checklists, it really starts from our perspective. It's really about understanding that affordability. It's about getting that pre-approval so that we can look, because you might think, I don't think I can do this right now. I don't think I have enough money. I don't think I make enough money. I don't know that my credit is as good. And there's been plenty of surprises where I'm like, what makes you think you're not quite there? Like, share that with me. And it's like, turn the screen because it's looking pretty good from over here. Here's why. And then, oh, so we can provide some of that insight for you. And maybe you are ready. And if you're not, it's okay. It is scary. And having that information and having a plan on how to get yourself there is empowering. And we can assist with that as licensed mortgage brokers. We can help you build a plan. We can look at credit repair if need be. We can tell you where some other income sources are. We can tell you what bills you might want to pay down or what's stopping you from getting that price point of house that you're after. So there's so many pieces to the puzzle, but we are there to help, and we can certainly look at all of that. So I would, as recommendations, getting ready is get your credit in check. If you don't know what your credit looks like, get a copy of your credit report. Also know that what a lender is going to see and what a mortgage broker sees is a different report from you. So getting in touch with a broker and having them pull your credit and review with you is a huge tool. So again, know what your credit situation looks like, understanding how to manage your money, making sure that you're putting aside enough for a down payment and how much down payment that might be for you. The minimum is 5%, but the lender might want to see a little bit more. Maybe you need a cosigner. Maybe you're ready to rock and roll and you didn't think you were there yet, but you can go. So
absolutely. Okay, so here's a question for you. And I keep saying absolutely because I 100% agree with you, because I've been in real estate so long. Everything that you're saying, I so agree with. And Doug says I need to expand my vocabulary. So let's
absolutely
100%.
can
Okay, I'm curious. I want a mortgage broker's opinion on this. Because of the shortage of housing, and because of the cost of building, and because of the supply chain issues we have, the cost of land and everything, one of the things that is definitely an option, I believe, is modular homes or tract styled home developments. And I know in the States we're starting to see more of that. What is the opportunity? Is there anything in place mortgage wise to get that first leg in to at least own something?
Now, when you're talking, I just want to make sure we're talking about the same type of property. When you say modular, are you talking about like in a fixed mobile
Yeah.
home situation?
Yes.
So particularly, now this might vary in other regions. I'm going to speak specifically for Alberta because that's where I live. Lenders don't love them, because the first thing that they are looking at when it comes to a property is marketability. And they are not the most desirable and they are not the most marketable. So they don't love them. I would say if you are looking to get onto the property ladder and you can't quite get into the row housing, townhouses, duplex, that you look at a condo.
Condo. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you foresee that shifting at all? Because I know Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest guys
Yeah.
out there, that's all he's been investing in for the last 20 years is modular homes, mobile homes, the parks, the land, all of that. And I know that construction wise, when we see prefab like Nielsen Homes, down just in southern Alberta, they're the same construction mandates as a starter home, right? So they're built in the same fashion.
Mhm.
Do you see? Are you hearing anything from the mortgage, from the money side of the industry around alternative housing? Like, I know that we've seen things where it's like we're seeing, uh, that some of the people are doing the big steel boxes, what are
Mhm.
those, transport
Yeah.
boxes and things
The
like that.
pre-flop, yeah.
Yeah. So are you seeing any creative solutions or language around alternatives to the housing shortage?
I think sometimes it takes a little bit more time for them to catch up, but certainly as we see a demand for something, then there's more opportunity there. So I think, like you say, some of those more creative, they're already looking at some mini houses and micro condos and things like that. So I think there is an opportunity. Is there a huge appetite right now? Not that we see. Can that change? Yes. We are constantly seeing changes in our industry as to what we can do, what we can't do, what is being offered, what gets changed out. It varies by region. So again, it all comes into play. Where is it that you're looking to buy? What lenders are available in that area? Who has an appetite for that type of property? And that's why the pool of lending being larger is always in a borrower's favor. So that's where you can start looking to some other options as well, as to some alternative lending, some more flexible lending options. So yes, there's always opportunity. Yes, I think there will be an adjustment where needed.
So when we're talking about movement, um, and opportunity, so in the States, we're seeing interior movement. So people are moving from the East Coast, the West Coast to the inner, kind of, the flyover states.
Yeah.
Are What is the rumble you're hearing in the money world, in the mortgage world, with Toronto now capping, right? And BC. So, these are very expensive markets. But then when you look at the middle market of Canada, so, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, what are you hearing? Are you hearing anything along those lines that we're seeing in the States?
Yeah, there's definitely buzz about investors coming in, primarily from Ontario, from the East, some BC, but a lot of buzz about Toronto investors investing in Calgary, in Alberta, because we are an affordable place to be. So, yes, we definitely see some of that happening up here as well.
Excellent. Yeah, I was just wondering that because, um, I see the big trend. What about smaller markets outside of Calgary, outside of Edmonton? We're in the United States, they're seeing, um, fluctuation outside, like within 40 minutes of the downtown core. Those areas seem to be really building up also. What do you have around? I know everybody says location, location, location. What is the trend that you are seeing, from the money side of things? Uh, are we seeing a buildup or a demand in the suburb areas, or are we seeing an influx for downtown?
I think that we are still seeing that movement into some more affordable neighborhoods. Obviously, as that demand goes up, we are seeing those now. Some of those prices come up in places like
Yeah.
Airdrie and Chestermere. And then, of course, with the pandemic and having this new flexibility with where you're located, it was a push even farther. So now, we're looking at some more small acreage properties where people can still, if they're able to still work from home, great. They don't have to worry about an urban commute. So there has been a lot of movement through the pandemic. Some of those people who did go into the suburbs or did go into more of a rural setting and called back to their jobs are now looking to come back. So I think that certainly the pandemic played a role in so many things, and it changed the way we work. It changed the way we commute. It changed the way we were looking at our homes and the utilization. So maybe you don't need the space that you did for the last 2-3 years, and you're looking to make a change again. And our lives are constantly changing, with a pandemic or without. We've got a lot of change going on within our own lifetimes. So you have people who are just starting out, and you have people who are empty nesters and they're looking to downsize, or they're looking to pick up a vacation property. So there's always a need. And with that need, of course, we're gonna have to look to different solutions throughout the industry, as real estate professionals, throughout all of the process. So
we got somebody in a house, right? They're in, let's say, a starter product. They're on that property chain, the wealth building chain. Are there any, what are the tips around if you wanted to retain your initial starter product and still purchase a secondary product, your next new home, right? So
yeah.
you're moving up. That's one of the things that I would like to actually chat about. What are some of the different types of financing or mortgages? Are there blanket mortgages? What could somebody do in order to compete with, we've got all these big corporations and big investors coming in and sucking up every opportunity, where a little independent person can slowly build their wealth over 20 years. What are some of the options out there in the financial world right now?
So you're asking if they have it's their home and they're looking to get into a move up or make a lateral move and turn their existing owner occupied into a rental property.
Correct.
Okay. So when they are looking to I'll address the first one. When they're looking to acquire their next home and keep that one as a rental, that needs to come into the debt servicing conversation. So you have to be able to carry both properties. So even though there's some rental income, the responsibility for both properties owned or multiple properties owned fall with the title holder, so with the borrower. There are some concessions to be made for that. Like there's a rental offset, so the lenders will take into account some of that rental opportunity when they're looking to do that. So can easily convert, but you have to remember that, again, the affordability piece, and can you afford to carry both properties? That will be the expectation. So again, through numbers, and becoming a landlord has its own privileges and challenges as well. So making sure that everybody on your team, on your real estate team, so your mortgage professional, your realtor, your lawyer, doing all of that background homework. Is that property marketable?
Yeah.
Is that something that you want to maintain? Are you prepared to handle all the maintenance issues? And what type of lease are you going to have? So all those conversations, of course, need to be had. And then we have, again, a pool of lenders that will look at rental properties in various ways. So looking at that client and how many properties they own, where those properties are located, what the short and long-term goals are, and finding that lending option, that mortgage that is right for them on both sides. So moving into your own property and converting an existing property into a rental are two pieces. What do both mortgages look like? How do you best capitalize?
Yeah.
Talking to your accountant about things like your rental income and how to best situate that. So it's great. And yes, absolutely a wonderful way to start building some wealth and build a portfolio, and just understanding what encompasses that. And of course, it's more than just the mortgage. So getting your team together, especially if you plan to build, your portfolio, is so important. Understanding how much you can expect to make, what your your income is going to look like off of that. Who will allow you to own how many properties? How can you best situate yourself, and with your accountant as well?
That's what I'm hearing is get your team, know who you're playing ball with, know who has your back. Okay.
And
So
get educated yourself, right? So yes, getting the team together that you can trust, who know what they're doing, and also educating yourself along the way, I think is huge, especially if you're going to jump into the realm of being a landlord.
so so when we're talking about education, book, is there a book out there? Is there somebody that they should follow? Is there anything through like CMHC or any kind of Canadian? Where can they go to find information?
So CMHC is a great resource. I'm glad you brought them up. They have a lot of first-time home buyer, particularly for the first-time home buyers, and education surrounding that. Also, new to Canada, business for self is another huge area. So the insurers, and we can get into that if you'd like, but when you have less than 20% down payment, you're going to have an insured backed mortgage. The insurers have, in addition to backing that mortgage, they do have programs out there that help bring Canadians into home ownership. So Sagen is another one, SAGEN, that's another insurer. CMHC, they both have great resources. The Government of Canada is a great stop as well, and getting into what those incentives look like for buyers. So there's a lot of government incentives out there to help existing homeowners, to help new to the market homeowners. What else can you tap into to bring that affordability into light? And again, I'm just going to keep plugging mortgage brokers, but speaking to a mortgage broker and asking those questions as well, going back to what you said, like, can you tell me about some incentives that I might be eligible for? What does that look like? And acquiring some more information around that. There's opportunities there as well.
Is there anything uniquely post-pandemic that's come up that is helpful? Because I mean, we've got all the negative stuff out there. We've got inflation, we've got no houses, we have, interest rates going up. Is there anything that spun out of like for support on mortgages through the pandemic?
So the insurers, again, and lenders really came to the table and were looking at ways to help people who were already mortgage holders maintain their home. So looking at some of those areas where you could put a little bit of a freeze on your mortgage. If you're finding yourself in any sort of financial distress, talking to your mortgage broker if you've got one first. If you don't have one, call one of us up and we can help look at the situation and point you in the right direction. So there's lots of government supports out there for everyone. I would suggest tapping in there. A positive that came out of it, the government is having a conversation. Industry is having a conversation. We're well aware there is a housing shortage. So getting those construction starts up, looking at the government looking at some of the old initiatives that they had in the 70s where there was a huge push for housing. Where do we need the housing? How do we get the provinces involved in that conversation and working together across different levels of government and working with industry to get those houses in place? So we really do need to get our inventories back up. So the fact that conversation is being had and it's being had loud enough that we can all hear it, I think is a positive. Will it happen as quickly as we would like or as we need? No, it's going to take time to catch up. Inflation is always a scary word, and we know that our salaries aren't keeping up with inflation like they used to a few generations back. So it is really about looking at your own situation and sometimes making the hard decision about not getting those little extras if you're really working hard to get a down payment saved. And maybe
And look at all the options out there. I mean, is the property able to be an R2 and you can put a small suite in the basement? So now you help out somebody else. You offset your costs. So there's lots of things going on out there for sure.
Yeah, and you bring up a good one, Kim, really that, and some of the new construction I've noticed in the south end of Calgary is actually advertising that you can get a legal suite with your new build. So that's a great way to, even if you're sort of dipping your toe in the area of maybe I want to be an investment holder and I want to look at being a landlord and I'll build a portfolio, you can be right on site. You can have one unit, you can have a renter in the other. Like you said, they can help you pay down your mortgage and build some of your wealth, and you can help somebody have a home. So I think that we are looking to creative ways to doing that and finding and being flexible with what we're looking for.
Absolutely. And there I go again. There I go again. Absolutely. Awesome. Fantastic. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. We're going to find some different words here. So I just wanted to point out anybody who's listening who is in the first time home ownership space, CMHC, there's several of these sites that also have home maintenance. The investment doesn't stop once you put the deposit down and you have your monthly. You actually need to look at budget, and approximately 2% of the home value every year that will be invested back in, because keeping a home top maintenance is really critical. I personally have gone into homes and it's had deferred maintenance, and it will take $20,000 or $30,000 to get that home up just so it could actually be competitive versus being given away in the deal or reveal. So there's lots of resources out there. Tanya, can you share with us again your website and also some different resources you believe that everybody who's coming into the home ownership space need to look at?
Yeah, so our corporate website is Axiom, AXIOM, mortgage.ca. And I'll also throw out my email because we have a fantastic mortgage guide. So it is a 24-page handbook. It goes through everything, assembling your team, what roles that team plays for you, how to prepare yourself for a mortgage. We've got Mortgage University at the back of that guide, some of the lingo that you want to familiarize yourself with. So you can do a little light reading on mortgages, and then definitely talk to a licensed mortgage broker at axiom.mortgage.ca. And we'll help you guys out. So my email, and I don't know if you want to throw it up on screen or how you want to do it, Kim, but my email is Tanya, Tanya .appel, APPEL at axiom.mortgage.ca.
And we'll put that in the bio in the write-up afterwards in the blog and also on the show notes. Real quick before you go, I always ask a quote. I'd love to know something that, because you're before we sign off, what do you do for fun?
For fun, okay, I'm going to make myself sound like a total nerd, but I absolutely love reading. Like I love, and I always have, just getting some of that quiet time and getting immersed into a great story is fantastic. I love walking. I love hiking. I just can't get enough of our fresh mountain air and heading out. Anytime I can head out to the mountains for a walk, it makes my heart sing. So I love being in the mountains. I love hanging out with my favorite people, my family, my closest friends, entertaining and just opening up my home so that we can all share a meal or share a laugh. That's what I love.
What's your favorite book?
One of my favorite book is so hard. There's so many. One of my favorite authors, though, is Ryan Holiday. So he is a student of Stoicism, and I just love how he brings all of that ancient wisdom throughout the ages, not just the ancients, but some of that wisdom through our great thinkers of our times and our great leaders, and how he can bring it right back to speak to us in our present time, and help us find our center and look at things in new ways and find some resiliency and just slowing things down and finding a way to find your purpose and your path.
So when we're looking at stoicism, what's a quote your go-to? So when a day is rough or you're tired, things aren't going the right way, you have a client maybe that's crushed that because they got to wait 3 months or they can't get the house that they thought that they were for sure going to get. What's a quote that keeps you feeling inspired and moving forward?
I really love, again, it's from the School of Stoicism, but I really love the obstacle is the way. And something might feel so insurmountable in the moment. And if we can just find a pause, if we can hit pause for just a moment and really know that we have it within us to find a way. Sometimes it's not about moving that obstacle, it's about walking around it. What's on the other side of that this way? What's on the other side of that way? And knowing that you're going to find the way. And sometimes the biggest thing that feels like your biggest competitor, your biggest obstacle is the solution. So if we
Wow.
don't resist everything, we'll find our way.
Wow. And sometimes that way is a person on the other side of the rope throwing that rope over the wall to give you a heads up. And that's where making sure you have the team to help you achieve the dream all lined up. That's really important.
For sure. I heard it today, actually. I had an opportunity to go to another wonderful conference, and one of the speakers was talking about who are your board of directors in your life? Who are your key players in your life? And you can be so lucky if you have 5 people that will always support you, will tell you the hard truths, that will be your cheerleader when you don't quite feel the rah-rah going on in your own heart or in your own head. Come back to those people, come back to your support system, because we are all here to do great things, whatever that means to you, whatever that looks like in your lifetime, in your space. But we have people, whether we can hear or see them or not, that are standing up and cheering and walking next to us, holding us up. So yeah, 100%. Your support people, and that comes in a variety of ways. So that's
So
part of it.
always be open, always be open. Uh, you know, I appreciate you sharing your time and your insight because right now, more than probably any time in the last 22 years of my real estate career, I would say that this is even more important because there's a lot of stuff coming at everybody after already having the barrage over the last few years. And being able to showcase the voice of reason and inspirations, people who are open to be insightful, really important. And I can't thank you enough for your time because I know
Thank
how
you.
valuable your time is.
Well, I really appreciate it. And I do want to encourage everybody out there that we're more than just what we see in a headline. So, don't come at things from a place of fear. There's always hope. There's always opportunity. There's a plan. And we're here to help you make your home ownership dreams come true.
Absolutely. Everybody has the right to food, shelter, security, family. Like you do have that right. So don't be afraid that you're going to be told no. Ask the
Absolutely.
questions. Find the way to ask the questions. It may not happen today, but it can happen. So I want to thank everybody out there who has taken time to listen to this, lean into the community that we're creating here at the Resilient Series at Resilient New Media here in Kim Talks, and lean into these women because I'm only bringing you the best of the best, the women who really, truly are present and want to be of service. So when you're feeling that your resiliency maybe is lagging a bit, be sure to listen and lean into our community. You can get your free membership And that gives you a monthly magazine where we recap all of these podcasts. We recap kind of the journey of who we've spoken to and what we've spoken about. So you can get that at resilientgift.com. We're not asking for a credit card. There's no sneaky renewal fees. Grab that. And you know what? Just lean into the community. We're just here to support you to have a better, bigger, bolder life. That is it in a nutshell. So celebrating female founders, coaches, entrepreneurs, authors, speakers, and those who aspire to be any and all the above. Lean into our community. And so until next time, I just want to say again, thank you for sharing your most valuable resource with us, which is your time. And I do value it.